Well, first of all, thank you so much for having me. It's nice to see some familiar names in the on online, and I wish we were meeting in person, but because of COVID situation, we have to make the best of the situation that is at our hands now. I do want to start first of all by acknowledging that I'm speaking with you from a traditional Treaty 6 territory. For me, that land acknowledgement is deeper than just ceremonial. I came to this city with nothing. I faced a lot of challenges when I got here: racism, discrimination, bullying in school. Um, but this is a city, this is a place that has propelled me to live up to my fullest potential. And that was only possible because I had the ability to be on this indigenous land and build my life here. So I want to make sure that I do that proper respect, pay my proper respect to this indigenous land of opportunities. Some of you know me from my work on City Council. As a matter of fact, I had worked with some of you. Building better infrastructure for our city, rec centers, libraries, providing quality public services that so many Edmontonians rely on, from public transit to fire, to police, to community services, snow removal, and all the services that I am absolutely committed to providing. Actually, I'm the only candidate who speak directly about public services and investing in public services and continue to enhance our quality of life. Some of you know me from my work as a member of parliament and leading two major economic portfolios: infrastructure and natural resources. At infrastructure, I had the chance to work with the University of Alberta, NAIT, McCune University, Northwest, Concordia, to help design $2 billion post-secondary institution upgrading infrastructure fund that allowed so much investment to happen in our city to upgrade old labs and research facilities that helped foster innovation in our city. And during my time in that role, I also secured funding for NAIT's Productivity and Innovation Center. If you haven't had a chance to go there, please do go there. Such a phenomenal facility would not have happened without my leadership. If you had a chance to go to Concordia, please go check out the Innovation Center there. Again, project that worked really hard to secure, and the innovation that project is fostering is absolutely phenomenal, including innovation based on indigenous knowledge and traditional practices. During my time, I have tackled major big things and I have accomplished big things. But that was only possible because I believe in collaboration. The challenges that our city is facing cannot be tackled by one individual or one institution or one office. What we need to mobilize is our community wisdom, our community resources. And I have the experience and I have the right temperament, calm, collective, measured, steady approach to leadership in time of uncertainty. And I have shown that. I have tackled controversial, very politically charged projects. I'll give you an example. Trans Mountain Pipeline Expansion project is was one of the most controversial projects in our recent Canadian history. I tackled that. I consulted with the indigenous communities, got that project underway, and to the finish line will be done by the end of next year. Because I listened to people. Because I believed in the power of collaboration, that when you work together, you can find solutions to pressing challenges. And we do have pressing challenges from the state of the economy, how we emerge from this COVID, and what kind of new economic future that we build for our city. We need mature, steady, calm, steady leadership. The challenges of climate change that Michael talked about, not Michael Oshry, the Michael host. How we turn that into opportunities for investment in geothermal, investments into carbon capture, storage, and utilization. How do we foster new technologies to transition our economy and create those new jobs? The challenges that we're facing on homelessness, mental health, addiction, which is creating havoc in our streets. And people are dying daily in Edmonton streets or silently in their homes because of poison-laced drug overdose that our city is experiencing. That requires collaborative leadership, that requires the ability to work with the federal government and the provincial government and the regional partners. And I'm the only candidate speaking with you who have negotiated 21 bilateral agreements with every province and every territory from coast to coast to coast, delivering $60 billion in infrastructure fund. I'm the only candidate speaking with you who negotiated and led a team of leaders to invest $40 billion of private sector money in LNG Canada in British Columbia. So I have that experience that is necessary to grow our economy and build a thriving place, a place with opportunities, a place with well-paying middle-class jobs that allow us, people like me, to build my life here and succeed. But we also need to make sure that all of us Edmontonians are working together to tackle these challenges. And I will mobilize Edmontonians to build a better relationship with each other, to build a better relationship with regional partners, with provincial governments, and with federal governments. I want to briefly talk about innovation and the topic that is very near and dear to your heart and my heart as well. When I was a federal minister, I worked with Federation of Canadian Municipalities and other organizations to set up the Smart Cities Challenge. The role of that challenge was to foster innovation in our major urban centers as well as mid-sized and small cities. That $300 million fund over 10 years is fostering a lot of innovation and creativity throughout this country. And our city actually did apply for funding through our health cities initiative and other partnerships. I was the minister responsible setting up Canada Infrastructure Bank, $35 billion private sector institutional investment to deal with building better infrastructure and deal with climate change and investing into flood mitigation and other areas, right? So I have that experience. That's the experience that I will utilize to ensure that Edmonton is succeeding. Briefly, before I close my remarks and go into questions, I want to talk about standing up for our city. I'm disappointed that provincial government attacked our institutions, particularly post-secondary institutions, the way they did. University of Alberta is, the budget for University of Alberta is disproportionately being cut. And I was the first candidate, I was the only candidate actually stood up to this provincial government demanding fairness and equity for our city. I will never be afraid to stand up. But that does not mean, standing up does not mean that you be rude to people, that you be partisan in your engagement. Standing up collectively. My approach to advocacy is different. I believe that City Hall talking to province or to Ottawa alone is not going to be as successful. What I want to do is build a coalition of leaders from your sector, from post-secondary institutions, from a business community, from nonprofit sector, from community leagues, from cultural communities and faith organizations. Together, we will advocate for fair share. Together, we will advocate for better treatment for Edmonton and for our institutions. I have seen other municipalities do that effectively. And I want to model on those successes and build that broader coalition of leaders who will talk to our partners in a collective voice so we can deliver and build an Edmonton that we all expect to live in. In my vision, Edmonton for all of us. So with that, I will stop and get into our Q&A.
All right, thank you so much, Amarjeet. I would like to invite Michael to go ahead and unmute yourself and ask the first question.
Okay, and I also invite anybody else to ask questions, but a very impressive talk. Amarjeet, thank you so much. How do we actually go about creating a more positive and accurate perception? Because it might take more than just leaders. We actually need the grassroots, the people here, to also be ambassadors for Edmonton, to show it as one of the best places to innovate and create new solutions to tackle global challenges like COVID-19, cancer, and climate change. We're already doing those things, but people don't know about it on the outside often. How can we do a better job selling Edmonton as a great place to be and innovate?
Yeah, I have been championing Edmonton every day during my time, telling my own story of success. I started mopping floors. I started flipping burgers in our city. I started as a cab driver, worked as Edmonton transit bus driver, but also city gave me the chance to represent you at City Hall, then in Ottawa, then leading to major economic portfolios. My success is Edmonton's story. And that is the story that we need to tell. Our stories needs to be told by us to the rest of the world, to the rest of the country. The innovation that is happening at University of Alberta or Concordia or at NAIT needs to be highlighted and talked about and bragged about. Innovation that we're seeing in the health sector, the innovation that we're seeing in the reducing emissions in the oil and gas sector, the innovation that we are seeing in geothermal that I supported when I was a federal minister. We need to tell those stories, and we don't unfortunately tell those stories as much as we need to because we are very humble people. Sometimes our humbleness gets in our way, but we also need to tell that in a collective way, in a united way, not in a polarized way. I'm deeply, deeply concerned that our political culture has become so polarized, and I want to work hard to depolarize and tell our stories.
All right, awesome. Thank you so much, Amarjeet. I did actually have a question for you myself. You mentioned working with other branches of government to support people experiencing homelessness in our city. And you also mentioned providing additional support to people who are struggling with their mental health. I realize that maybe some of these initiatives are out of the branch of local government, but I would like to hear more about what specific plans you have or initiatives or things that you would like to see put in place.
Yeah. So I see the three roles for mayor's office. One is to ensure that city as a corporation is run as efficiently, as effectively, providing quality public services and all that city corporation does. That's one role. The second role for under my leadership will be the champion of the community to each other. We need to pull each other together, not divide each other. We have racism in our city, we have discrimination. We need to foster reconciliation with the indigenous communities. We need to support small businesses. I will be that person who will bring people together and provide that facilitation and bring in people together so we can work together better. And the third role is the champion role. I'm the only candidate who's talking about that activist champion role for mayor's office, where we will work together to advance our community's collective interests. If University of Alberta is attacked and cut, I will be that champion, pulling people together on university's behalf. We're working with them and working with the community. I will continue to do. If I were your mayor today, I will knock on Premier's door every day, not just by myself alone, but with a coalition of leaders that I talked about earlier on, and keep on knocking until that door opens and the Premier sits down with us, with our community, to understand that we need a partner. We need a partner to tackle mental health. We need a partner to tackle crisis of overdose that is hurting our businesses, that disorder is creating in our street, in our downtown, in Chinatown, in other areas. That's the champion role I envision. And I'm the most well-positioned candidate because of my experience and my relationship building and my bridge building skill and my collaborative skills, that I can build a coalition of leaders to champion to this provincial government and to the federal government that Edmonton cannot tackle these issues alone. We need partnerships.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that, Amarjeet. I appreciate you bringing that up as part of your platform. All right, Randall Adcock, I invite you to unmute yourself and go ahead and ask Amarjeet your question.
Thank you. Yeah, we hear a lot about the way council conducts itself with lots of adversarial points of view. Of course, you want to develop a collective intelligence there so that you tap the diversity of points of view. Plus, there's the adversarial relationship often with the administration. How would you build a climate of collaboration there without going so far as creating groupthink?
Yeah, so some of you who are familiar with my work on City Council, I was known as a consensus builder, and I was known as a bridge builder. The work that I did on the Downtown Arena project to pull council together, because I listen to people, I understand their aspirations, I work well with them, and to further collective good of the city. When I got elected city council in 2007, first motion I brought forward was building the LRT to Millwoods. But I put a lot of hours and hours of work before I brought forward that motion, talking to city councillors, my colleagues, stressing the necessity of that project. I do the hard work. I do the hard work behind the scenes, and I respect people. I have never in my time attacked any of my colleagues, personally or professionally. Never done it. Even as a federal minister, I worked well with my opposition colleagues, because at the end of the day, we are here to serve people. And I talk about my platform, and I talk about what my vision is, but I also try to find commonalities with other people's vision and what their aspirations are. So that's how you work with the council. Your question on a relationship with city administration, I firmly believe that council needs to be in the driving seat. Council needs to set the direction. Council needs to determine the agenda, what kind of city that we want to build. And then administration's role is to implement that. Yes, they need to give you sound, good, impartial advice to inform your decisions, inform your policies. But once the decisions are made, administration's role is to execute them and deliver on them. And sometimes we let administration run the show. Under my leadership, that is not going to happen. Under my leadership, city council will run the show, because we are accountable to people. We are the one who have developed the vision or will be given the mandate if I'm elected, or whoever is elected. Mandate is coming from people to elected people, and elected people are the one who needs to drive that agenda.